the collaboration kind of stemmed from, I guess, the brain trust of some of the leadership on Committee 15 in developing some sort of publication to, not steal a word we've already used, complement the AREMA manual and maybe go into a bit more detail on some of the design decisions that engineers need to make during the design process that can produce, I guess, more economical, or insert other word, designs that are easier to build or fabricate or erect at the end of the day, which is ultimately what we're all in the business of doing, is building bridges for railroad.
You may know the American Railway Engineering and Maintenance of Way Association, or AREMA, as the, quote, keepers of the manuals. You may know them as the, quote, people behind the largest annual railroad conference in North America. Heck, you may not know about AREMA at all. This podcast is designed, no pun intended, to change your view of who AREMA is and how AREMA has changed the trajectory of many railway careers over its 100-plus year history. Welcome to Platform Chats with your host, Walt, where he takes a moment to discuss the impacts AREMA has had on the very people who are proud to be called members. Are you ready to roll with AREMA?
ARE Corporation is a proud supporter of AREMA and Platform Chats. If you are looking to take your railway structures career to the next level, or simply start it down the right track, please visit us at arecorp.com. Please see our brand new job postings on our careers page or on our LinkedIn page.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Platform Chats. Believe it or not, we're up to number 37. I know we are in season 3. I have no idea what episode we're on. I want to say it's 6 or 7. It feels like that because it's now September, so we got to be at least past the halfway point in the year here. We have done our best to get as much material out this year as possible, and with the upcoming conference, it's been a little difficult. We've been pretty busy around AREMA headquarters to finalize everything for a great show that is coming up, which I have to put in a shameless plug for said show. It'll be September 15th through the 18th in Louisville. I got to start saying Louisville instead of Louisville, Kentucky. And so very excited to see everybody in person in a couple weeks. We are recording this right after Labor Day weekend. I'm excited to present. We are going to have a panel on the 16th, which is Monday, in the morning general session. So if you've ever like to see how the sausage is made, as they say, we're going to do a live version, if you will, of the podcast, which is kind of how our emerging technologies panel started. And if this is being produced and published after AREMA, well, I hope I saw you as well. So with that, let's just get right to it. Got some pretty big news. I checked this morning on our ranking and our progress up the ever so important ladder that is the 30 Best Railway Industry Podcast as published by FeedSpot. And I hope you're sitting down. If you are a longtime listener, we are number 4. So we have made it from the doldrums that was 30. We've worked our way into the top 10, and as of right now, we are number 4. And the 3 ahead of us are definitely less of an industry podcast. They're definitely more hobbyists, if you will. So I think we're almost the number 1 industry podcast, which is really cool. So we've got well over 5,000 downloads. It's really cool that we've gotten to where we are. And in the spirit of the NFL season starting and fantasy football drafts and everything seems to be about football, I think I need to renegotiate my contract as well. So maybe you should wish me luck to get a incredible extension from AREMA headquarters to go from $0 to even more or less dollars. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, I am officially rambling. I've got 2 really great guests today. They have an announcement to make that's going to get every geek in the world excited as it relates to steel railway bridges. which for those of you that know me, that's my background as well. So it's always fun to have some fellow structurals on the podcast. And we are so lucky to have a repeat guest on the podcast. She was on. Well, she'll have to tell me. I can't remember. I already forgot. She told me which episode she was on, but we'll start with her as her introduction. But Miss Jaclyn Whelan is a project manager of design with Conrail, based in New Jersey, and I'm going to let her do an introduction, followed right after that with Brandon Chavel, who is the vice president of bridges for the American Institute of Steel Construction, or AISC, for those of you in the know. But Brandon has also spent time in the industry as a consultant designing bridges and whatnot. So he's got a pretty cool story. He's new to the podcast. Excited to have both of them on. Wow, long introduction. Jaclyn, take it away. Tell everybody who you are, how you got here, and since you're here because of this new release, this relationship we have with AISC. When I say we, AREMA, perhaps you can talk about your role.
Certainly. So hi, I'm Jaclyn Whelan, project manager of design for Conrail. So I manage the design review of capital, customer, and third-party projects impacting Conrail property, facilities, operations, and such. I started in the industry back in 2013, graduated from college, and started in the private industry. Worked in the private industry for a little over 8 years doing railroad bridge design, replacements, rehabs, what have you, and then joined Conrail a little over 3 years ago in their design and construction department, doing what I do now and enjoy it. And as Walt mentioned, I was on a previous episode. I looked it up. It's season 2, episode 2 with my good friend Skylar Leach at Amtrak. So certainly happy to be back and talking to everybody about this new publication that just came out in collaboration with AREMA and AISC and NSBA Guidelines for the design of steel railroad bridges for constructability and fabrication. Kind of a lengthy title, but I served as the chair of the collaboration for developing this guide after I was recruited by Ronnie Medlock at High Steel, Ron Barry at BNSF, and now Brandon Chavel, who's back at AISC. So that's me.
Well, with the two Rons, I'm surprised Brandon's name is not Ron, but Brandon will proceed anyway.
No. Thank you, Jaclyn. Thank you, Walt, for having me a part of this. So my name's Brandon Chavel. As Walt said, I am the vice president of bridges for the American Institute of Steel Construction, and more so lead a lot of our things we do for the National Steel Bridge Alliance, which is a NSBA. We're part of the American Institute of Steel Construction, just kind of like the bridge side of what AISC represents. And as part of NSBA, we represent our steel bridge fabricators, mills. We have all things related to steel bridges, obviously, working with the different departments of transportation, different owners, different railroad bridge owners, different organizations like AREMA, our fabricators, academia, contractors, anybody involved in the industry, really, and down, including consultants as well, of course, and try to help them work with steel bridges, answer questions, kind of guide them with different tools and resources that we have available, on the highway side and now, and also on the railroad bridge side as well. So my background, myself, I went to the University of Pittsburgh for my bachelor's, master's, and my PhD. A lot of my focus, or all my focus, really was on steel bridge design and constructability for horizontally curved steel eye girder bridges, and as well as fabrication techniques as well. And then I went on to the consultant world, worked for HDR for 17 years in Pittsburgh, Chicago, and then moving back to where I am now here in Cleveland, Ohio. Moved on to AISC for a while as a director of market development. Was at AISC for about 3 years, and kind of wanted to get back into the consultant world, and did that with Michael Baker International here in Cleveland. Again, focus on steel bridges, both highway and rail bridges. And then just recently, in the last 4 months, came back here to AISC to serve as vice president of bridges. So my background, like I said, is a lot of steel bridges, both design, construction, and I've been able to get involved in a lot of really neat projects throughout my time, both in the consultant world and here at AISC and NSBA. So my involvement here started, I think, back when I was at AISC before, kind of helping shepherd the process, helping Jaclyn and Ronnie Medlock as working with AREMA, working with AIC to kind of get all the logistics worked out, and then also as a technical author as part of the document as well. And then once we got to the final stages, kind of helping with the editing along with Jaclyn and several others to get this across the finish line. So we're really excited about it here at AIC, and excited about the collaboration with all the Committee 15 members and AREMA to get this done. So.
Okay, excellent intros, both of you. I do want to just kind of start with a brief overview. AISC. When I think of AISC, I think of the steel manuals used for design and construction as a practicing engineer. Not that I can say I am a practicing engineer so much anymore. However, I did learn. So I can think of all the manuals that have been published, year after year after year. Of all the manuals out there, Brandon, why is the Green Book your favorite in the railroad industry?
Excellent question, Walt. Well, the Green Book is the last full edition of the allowable stress design, if I remember correctly. So, which is what we design all our railroad bridges to, and all our steel railroad bridges too. And that's probably why it's your favorite book, Walt. So, but now, if you notice in the current edition as well, we have both ASD, allowable stress design, and that other term, LRFD, that will not be named any further in this podcast. So.
Yes, those 4 letters. That's a 4-letter word in this industry. LRFD. We don't use it. It's offensive. No, I mean, there's a good reason that we still use ASD. We don't need to probably get into that. That's better talk maybe if you were at standing around in a hospitality suite at the AREMA conference. You can shoot the breeze on that one. But that is that's what I think of when I think of AISC. So you guys, and Jaclyn, don't you worry. I know you're still here, but you guys are still responsible for the publication and maintenance of that manual, right? I mean, that's got to be a big part of what AISC does. What else do you guys do in the industry?
Yeah. I mean, it's a big part. The manual and the publication of the manual and all that goes into it, managing the technical committees that go into that, and all the volunteer efforts that go into that to help develop that is a huge task by a lot of folks here at AIC. We have tons of different design guides that help with designing a lot of vertical construction as well through AISC, and just a lot of resources. We put on another major conference, not to compete with AREMA, but it's a conference in March or April typically, the North American Steel Construction Conference, and that's a big thing where we get about 5,000 to 6,000 people, and it's all vertical construction, bridge construction, everything related to that. So that's another big part of what we do. We do a lot of outreach, right? But for designers and architects, we'll say on the building side. But then where I'm at on the bridge side, it's a lot of outreach to the different bridge owners, different consultants, working with our fabricators, putting a lot of consultants in touch with fabricators, getting them to fabrication shops, working with AASHTO on the bridge side, and a similar collaboration that's been going on for well over 20 years now in developing guidelines like the one we did here for AREMA for bridge design, helping designers, helping designers and owners get to have a good experience with steel bridges. So, so we do a lot more here than just the manual. So,
oh no, for sure, and that's the educational piece of the podcast I really enjoy, and I also was just going to go ahead and say, please don't say AASHTO again. But no, we do not. We don't consider your conferences a competition whatsoever. More so, I'd say complementary, as well as international. Is the International Steel or Bridge Conference that is in Pittsburgh, or
the International Bridge Conference? What you're thinking of? That's typically in Pittsburgh, but it's moved around a little bit. That I helped participate in as well as part of my role. The last few years as well. So definitely not competition, definitely complementary. And we very much enjoy the relationship we've developed, with AREMA, through the partnership on this and other tasks as well. So.
Okay. And Jaclyn, let's talk about this. You're obviously a part of Committee 15, the allowable steel design chapter of AREMA. The fact that any of us are laughing needs to make us. When we're done with this, make sure you look in the mirror and remember, you are definitely an engineer. If you giggled, so why is this important to us? I mean, we tend to do what we want to do on the railroad side of the world. And I mean that as nicely as I can say. I mean, look, we're still using a manual that hasn't been updated since the 90s, I think. Because I think I learned on one of the first LRFD books, the silver one, which I think was like late 90s. So why is a collaboration with this group important to AREMA in your eyes, Jaclyn?
The collaboration kind of stemmed from, I guess, the brain trust of some of the leadership on Committee 15 in developing some sort of publication to, not steal a word we've already used, complement the AREMA manual and maybe go into a bit more detail on some of the design decisions that engineers need to make during the design process that can produce, I guess, more economical or insert other word, designs that are easier to build or fabricate or erect at the end of the day, which is ultimately what we're all in the business of doing, is building bridges for railroads.
Perfect. And I love the way you said that's what we are all in the business of doing. That all-encompassing statement is appreciated, so thank you. Okay, well, yeah, obviously constructability for us is huge. I think that the bridges that are designed, many of the bridges I helped design and the company I work for designs, we start with how are we going to build it, and then we back up from there, versus if you were to look at a green space or a blank canvas, if you will, we don't generally get a blank canvas in our industry, right? So the publication, I guess, how big is this thing?
Like how many pages or how many chapters?
Yeah, I mean, are we talking a paperweight sized book here? Or are we talking a pamphlet? Are we talking? Help me out.
So
here.
From cover to cover, I have it open. It's 94 pages. So
it's respectable.
It's a quick read compared to the steel chapter in the AREMA manual. So it's 9 chapters, ranging all the way from general railroad information. The idea is that the guide is approachable for all levels of engineers. So from the more senior people that are teaching the entry-level engineers to someone kind of starting out, being able to get an understanding of what the railroad industry is. I know when I started, I had zero understanding of what it was, even though I drove over CSX tracks at grade crossings and rode septum myself. It was not something in my purview as a career. So we cover that, and then we go into design detailing, specific chapters on bridge types, and then connections, bolts and stuff, and then all the way through decisions that owners need to make for construction as far as how they're going to contract their project. Is it design build, all those other decisions that owners need to make as part of the design process.
How about welding? I feel like welding is relatively important when you're talking about steel bridges. Is that a thing?
It is. We don't touch about it on this guide since that could have its own publication for sure. But it's definitely something that we talked about and is certainly on the minds of the collaboration to pick up and maybe either incorporate here or think about doing a separate publication on.
Perfect. Okay. So obviously you see the importance of this. And what is your target? I mean, your target audience, you kind of covered it there, Jaclyn. I mean, are we talking pretty much everybody from out of college to senior level engineers? That's the goal,
yeah,
right?
The goal is it's a resource for anybody and everybody in the steel railroad bridge industry, fabricators, contractors, whomever. They were all actually involved in the creation of the document. If you look at the 27 lovely volunteers, in addition to myself, Ronnie and Ron, it includes other owners. Most of the Class 1 railroads are represented. We have some transit rail consultants, fabricators, and contractors were all part of this conversation in developing this guide. So it's very comprehensive and intended for use by everybody.
So very much a consensus document,
Yep.
if you will. Okay. And Brandon, what was your role in this? It sounds like Jaclyn's definitely got the AREMA side covered. Did you sit in these meetings? Was there a series of meetings? How did this go, or how was this really produced in a way that I'd like to say, how is everyone's voices heard? Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I mean, my role at the start was to kind of help usher the process through a little bit in relation to coming up, with an agreement between AISC and NSBA and AREMA, right? And there's all these logistics that happen in the background to develop these collaborative type of documents when you're working between two organizations that represent a whole lot of people, right? So initially that was where I was at, and then I was tasked, I volunteered, we'll say, to write a few of the sections, right? Things that were near and dear to my heart that I could contribute to. So luckily enough, Jaclyn was nice, kind enough to allow me to be a part of that and do those types of writings, using my technical experiences and stuff, from past railroad bridge designs, being involved in Committee 15 as well, and then also taking some knowledge that we have from what we've learned through fabrication, right? Steel bridge fabrication, right? And I think there's a lot of things maybe we've done in the past just because we did it that way, where there's new and improved ways of doing things, perhaps, with regard to how we fabricate bridges, both for railroad and that other vehicular traffic that goes across bridges, right? So bring a lot of that to the table with some of the fabricators that were involved, and saying, well, maybe there's some slightly better ways to do things now, or at least detail them out. I think is a benefit to the industry and a benefit to designers who are going to pick this up and use that, because what we have in here is a lot of stuff that makes things makes steel bridges better for fabrication, right? And we as designers have choices that we can make that can make things go really smoothly, and sometimes very poorly. So, and that's the heart of this document. That's one of the things that we brought out in that with Jaclyn's efforts and the whole team. So,
all right. So this question will be for both of you, and I think I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it. We're an industry that I think a lot of people look at and say, you've been doing that for 150 years. There's nothing new here. I'm going to move on to something else like data science or artificial intelligence, or all the buzzwords that you hear today. Do you think there are still pitfalls that new designers are walking into when it comes to design, construction, fabrication of steel bridges that you think you hope that this guide will help them with? Is there anything specific that you'd want to point out? And if not, that's fine. I'm just...
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of things specific. I mean, there's a lot of discussion on stiffeners and how to connect stiffeners to regular plate girder bridges. There's some deck girder bridges or through girder bridges. I mean, this is probably the only place where there's a good discussion on through girder bridges out there, fabrication wise, and the details associated with those. So maybe that's something, right? I mean, we use those quite a bit in the rail bridge industry. Sure, there's textbooks and stuff that discuss it, but really get into some how can that be fabricated, right? Or how is that fabricated, and what are some better ways to do that? So I mean, sure, the industry's changed a little bit, and I think more so on I would say how we fabricate them has improved since 100 years ago. And really, that's a lot of the design details we talk about in here are geared towards the fabrication methods of today, with CNC equipment and all of that, and do better ways of fabricating regular plate girders that we've now do on both the rail and the highway side. So and bring some of those together so people know. I mean, you really don't know about that fabrication aspect until you go to a fab shop or work with a fabricator pretty closely, and that's what this hopefully this document gives you a little taste of that. So.
Jaclyn, you want to pile on there or no? I see you're smiling, but I don't know what that means.
I mean, I don't know if there's too much to add to that. I mean, when we were developing the guide, it was really thought to make it not necessarily a checklist, but something that someone can use as a point of reference when making design decisions. Not necessarily to avoid pitfalls, but to just know what decisions need to be made in the process. I know as an entry-level engineer, since it wasn't that far from where I am now, a lot of those decisions I didn't even know I needed to be making, unless I talked to a senior engineer about it. So this guide is hopefully teaching people to ask the questions if it's not something that's immediately known to them at the time.
Yeah, can I add to that, Walt? Then that about the collaborative process of this, right? Having a team of I think Jaclyn said 27 people, right? And coming up with a consensus document amongst those 27 people, and then other people within Committee 15. It's a learning thing for all of us, right? Everybody who sits in that room or sits on the virtual calls that we had, everybody I think who participates in stuff like this picks something up and learns something new. I know I'm sure I did, and I'm sure everybody else will vouch for that. So, and I think that collaborative process is very important in documents like this. And I know we weren't going to mention AASHTO again, but I'll mention AASHTO and the NSBA collaboration that we've been doing for quite a while. That's a collaborative process where we develop these guideline documents similar to this. And I vouch that everybody who goes to those meetings and participates in those, we get a lot more out of that than we put into it, developing documents and stuff like that. So from a volunteer standpoint, getting involved with something like this, if you're asked to get involved, is definitely something you want to try in your career. Maybe you don't like it, but I definitely think it's a learning experience, right? Right, Jaclyn? I think so.
Learn a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and you hear talk a lot about just the general, in almost every aspect of not just railroading, but any industry like ours where there is a significant amount of knowledge base that is retiring and leaving the industry without, quote unquote, leaving their hard drive on their desk, so to speak. Because it's in their head. Do you think that this guide helps a little bit? Was that even a thought of, hey, let's start documenting some of this stuff so when someone comes out of school, they kind of have a better understanding of why we did this and we didn't do this and why we don't have, curved steel box girders carrying 286 cars?
I think that was just inherent in the process. With the people that were involved. If you look at the list of contributors, it really ranges from the John Unsworth, who jokingly wrote the Bible of Steel Railroad Bridge Design, through someone like me who's been in the industry for 13 years, or no, not even 11. So we've all learned something in our experiences, and everybody brought that to the table in developing this guide. And I think it's definitely represented. It's not everything that these people have in their brains that they can write down for us, but I think it is grabbing some of the nuggets that they can share and we can kind of memorialize and be able to carry on.
I think that says a lot right there. What else was AREMA's role here? Did you have a separate, like a directed subcommittee to deal with this? That was like a temporary subcommittee. I'm just curious about the structure, or was this? How was it done? Did Ruth and company? I guess this would have been before Ruth's time. Maybe it was Ron's time. Create a subcommittee and say, Jaclyn, you're going to run this thing, and you just put your hand up and ran with it. Like, I'm just thinking, if there's someone out there that would love an opportunity to lead an effort like this. I'm guessing you don't have 30 years of experience in steel bridges, but you might have good experience in just leading groups of people. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the collaboration was kind of born out of Committee 15. I was asked to chair the publication and collaboration for this specific item. Like I said, Ronnie and Ron approached me I think it was a Committee 15 meeting that I was at, and they said, hey, we think you'd be great at herding some cats. So would you like to do this? And I thought about it and talked to my husband about it, since I knew it'd take some additional time, and kind of joined it. And then we went on a sourcing effort for some volunteers to participate in writing the content. So at every Committee 15 meeting after that, it was, hey, we created this collaboration. We're looking for people to contribute. If you're interested, here's my email address on the board. Shoot me an email. And then some of us reached out within our own networks outside of Committee 15 to try to get some non-Committee 15 people involved as well. So once we kind of had our group of people scheduling meetings and the like to get the document actually created, once we had a draft document, we submitted it to Committee 15 for peer review, got some great feedback and comments from members of Committee 15 that we have a wonderful matrix that we did an evaluation on and provided responses to everybody, and worked through that process to get the document where it is today.
So I guess you took it exactly where I wanted you to do so, whether you knew it or not, is just showing up to these meetings and just putting your hand up and paying attention. Look at where it took you. I mean, that's pretty cool that you were a part of creating a publication like this that in 10, 15, 20 years, it'll still be out there and you have your fingerprints on it. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. If you want to get involved in your industry and you're looking for things that you might not even know what's out there, just showing up to these meetings. And don't get me wrong, some of them are extreme snoozers. I'm not going to tell you they're not, but there's just always that opportunity to do something really cool, broader potentially than what you do on a daily basis. And I think that's the messaging here that I want to make sure our listeners are getting out of this as well. So Brandon, are you a member of 15 or you or not?
No, yeah, I'm a member of Committee 15. So I think I became a member when I was at AISC previously. So, yeah. So I've been a member straight through since. So, yeah.
Perfect. And did you present at the Structures Symposium in Tampa? It wasn't a symposium. It was the Structures all structure functional group meeting in Tampa we had last February. We had several people present that were kind of like affiliate members of AREMA. I can't remember if you presented or not.
No, I don't think I presented there. I know Jaclyn and I presented on this topic at the last AREMA conference.
Okay. Okay.
By Jaclyn, I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. And both of you will be at in Louisville?
I will be.
Unfortunately, I can't make it. I got some other commitments that week that I need to go tend to. So.
Oh, lobbying organizations for the state highway bridge departments, I'm sure.
Not quite. All
right. Just checking.
Actually, I'll miss this one. So, but I'll be on our Committee 15 meeting next week. So.
Perfect. Well, I think even bigger than that, I think there should be an opportunity here for a shameless plug that we are having a structures symposium, a true symposium, not just a meeting of the committees. So last February, we had the first ever, trust me, I was corrected. This was not the first ever, but it was maybe the second meeting of all structures functional group committees at one time, where we were all in one room for a full day, which I thought was really cool, in Tampa, where we tacked on to the end of the Sustainability and Resiliency Symposium. And this year, we're going to do our own. Structures Group is going to do their own symposium. It's going to be in Fort Worth, Texas in February, and now the dates are slipping my mind. Brandon, do you know the dates? If you don't, that's fine. But I know, Brandon, you're running one of the subcommittees, I believe, to help us organize this. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
So I think I helped develop the white paper and some of the themes, I believe, for the overall symposium. So I think it's the first week of February. Second seems to ring a bell.
That does seem to ring a bell. So if you have any interest in railway bridges, I think very cool opportunity to come. It's going to be kind of like the idea was taking, if you're familiar with the national conference, Tuesday is kind of our day where we break into technical tracks or sessions where we have an opportunity to do a day's worth of all on bridges or all on structures. And then there's at the same time in parallel, there's something about track and there's something about signal. And so, we get well over 100 abstracts trying to get papers and or presentations for the national conference every year that we have to whittle down to less than 20. So it's pretty competitive. And so this is giving an opportunity to kind of take a lot of that, the folks that didn't make it, that had great stuff. Don't get me wrong, there's some great stuff out there that didn't make it. And I think we have had 60 plus submittals, and I think we have 40 or so slots. Is that right, Brandon?
Yep. Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. I believe we have about 40 slots or 45 slots. So, and we're looking for design and maintenance, right? If we'll have sessions kind of tracks on both those. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, it sounds like if you're out there, you'll probably find Jaclyn and Brandon with a table selling their wares. They're at the conference trying to sell their manual. No, I'm kidding. But I am going to finish this up here by asking maybe the obvious here. Where does an individual get a copy of said manual or guide? What do you call it? Guide, manual? What do we want to call it here?
Well,
I've used multiple terms.
It's titled Guidelines, so we'll go with guide. So
all right. So where does someone want to get one of these if they're listening?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and chime in. So you can download it from the NSBA, the National Steel Bridge Alliance website, or go to the AISC website, go to Bridges, and then go to the Steel Bridge Railroad Resources, and then it's also available on the AREMA website as well. So I'm guessing if you type in guidelines for design of steel railroad bridges for constructability and fabrication into your favorite search engine, it'd probably be one of the first ones that kind of pop up. So, yeah. Or you can reach out to us. So.
Okay. And Jaclyn, I just heard you can go download it. So is it free?
It is free. Oh. So, yeah, it's available for everybody for free. So you can go and get it at your earliest convenience and save it to your computer or to your department's local resource folder so everybody can have it and access it and use it every day.
Every day. I love I love that. I don't know how to I don't believe that there's a better way to end this other than using this guideline every day. So thank you for that. I'm sorry I'm giggling, but yes, I think this has been great. I think both of you, thank both of you for being here. And honestly, I know you got a whopping 35 minutes to chat about something you worked on for 6+ years, but at the end of the day, that seems to be how things work around here. So very much appreciated. I'll give you the final word if you'd like, either of you.
Go and download it and use it. And thanks so much
every day
for having us to talk about it and get this out to the railroad industry.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you very much, Walt, for having us and the opportunity to talk about it as well.
You bet. So go download it and use it every day. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for rolling with AREMA on today's episode of Platform Chats. For further information about AREMA, please visit arema.org or contact us at info@arema.org.